I was diagnosed with status migrainosus when head pain landed me in an accident and emergency. I had no clue what status migrainosus was, so I found out. It also made me question if I really did have status migrainosus. Here's how it all went. Now, please remember that I am not a medical professional and everything I share here is purely based on my personal experience. Please seek a medical professional for your personal case. Now, I'm going to do this day-wise, okay? So, day 1 to 3. It was mid-March 2021 when I was hit with what I thought was a really ugly and unrelenting migraine. As the day went on, I found myself struggling to keep my eyes open. Feeling highly nauseated, I threw up, something that usually helps me when I go through such migraines a couple of times a year. So this didn't feel new to me, but the fact that it didn't help, the throwing up didn't help, was new. Turning off my bedroom lights as I prefer the dark, this is called photophobia. It isn't actually a phobia, but it's a term used to describe light sensitivity. So it's when bright lights hurt your eyes. So I struggled with this the entire night. Next morning, I found myself struggling to eat a spoon of food, struggling to keep my head up, and of course, the pain was horrendous, along with severe head pressure when I was sitting up, just like this. This was the worst I'd felt until then. I went to A&E, I was put on fluids and medication through an IV. I was given some of the strongest painkillers and anti-nausea medicines to help me through so that I could eat, and eventually they got my eyes tested as well, which were fine. I was feeling 60% better, and so I was allowed to discharge myself. I thought my migraine was under control. I could now manage this at home. I tried for a further 24 hours. But it was getting impossible. It was, now I'll tell you about day 4 to 9. I was back at accident emergency, and this time nothing they gave me worked. Nothing. I was screaming and crying, but the strongest of medication was failing me in my situation. I spent the next 6 days in hospital on constant fluids and medication through IV again. What eventually calmed things down by around 40% was steroids. But even that wasn't enough of a difference for me. But I was allowed to go home to see how I do on oral medication and being in my own bed. I was diagnosed with status migrainosus. One important thing to note. During these 6 days while I was in hospital, a brain MRI with contrast was performed, which didn't show anything of significance other than one line that stayed with me. I will speak about the significance of this in my next video, but the line was, and I quote, "Mild pachymeningeal enhancement over the cerebral hemisphere is of unclear significance," unquote. Before I continue, I just want to say, and as you may know by now, I have way too many medical conditions to deal with. And now I had a new one. So, as usual, I needed to learn about status migrainosus, also known as intractable migraine. What is status migrainosus? So, status migrainosus is a migraine that lasts over 70. Okay, I'll start again. Status migrainosus is a migraine that lasts over 72 hours and in which usual treatments don't work. During my time reading more about this, I came across people online who had been suffering from this form of migraine for months, and that thought scared me. I did not desire to be stuck with such a migraine, but I felt I was. But now, why did I feel I was stuck? Because my symptoms matched, and because after eliminating all other possibilities by my primary care doctor and neurologist, status migrainosus is what I had. Now imagine lying in bed in the dark in considerable pain, struggling to sit up because of head pressure, feeling nauseated, and reading this on healthline.com, and I'm going to quote them. Status migrainosus headaches affect less than 1% of people with migraines. However, they're intense and they stick around for longer than 72 hours. Even treatment with traditional migraine medicines like triptans and ergots often won't cut through the pain of a status migraine. The pain and nausea can be severe enough to require a hospital visit for treatment." Unquote. Let's look at how to treat status migrainosus. I had done a course of steroids, channel blockers, anti-nausea medication, anti-seizure medication, and oxygen therapy. That's usually the next line of treatment when the standard treatment of painkillers don't work. Someone with status migrainosus even suggested Botox injections, which is in fact very beneficial for many with this form of migraine. But for now, my doctors weren't too keen. I also tried drinking ginger water, trying steam inhalation, migraine balms, and even using hot and cold compression on the throbbing areas of my head. But the usual stuff just did not work. Now here's how I realized I did not have status migrainosus. Day 32, mid-April. Since discharge, days were passing by, but my pain was unrelenting. In fact, the pain was increasing and new symptoms were beginning to trouble me. Other than the painful pressure I felt while sitting up, I now felt an intense pain if I tried to bend down even the slightest. The pain traveled from the back of my neck up into my head, just like a horrible cramp would do. I described the feeling of this cramp to my doctors. It was as if my muscle was dehydrated and was about to snap, all while going through a shock, just like when you get electrocuted. Something told me this wasn't status migrainosus, and the doctors felt it too. In a follow-up opinion in which I was struggling to sit, my primary doctor and my neurologist believed that my MRI brain may have been done too early. I didn't even know there was such a possibility. Day 39. As the pain got me on my knees crying, I found myself needing to be admitted again. Okay, but I'll pause here. To know what happened next, watch my next video, which I've titled, well, I won't tell you the title. You'll have to figure out what happened, but I will title it something related to a migraine, just so that you can, I think the title might just give away what happened. But before you go ahead, I wanted to add one important thing. My stress levels were at an all-time high. I was struggling to manage my puppy that was just 5 months old at the time, and then him and I both fell ill with my migraine and his tick fever at the same time. In fact, the chaos in our lives began the same day. So instead of my stress levels reducing, it increased. But the migraine was so bad that crying, screaming, letting out some raw emotions wasn't possible. The slightest movement in doing so made my pain worse. I was feeling sad to see my pup, Toby, struggle, and I was going through some serious guilt because I couldn't be there for him as I needed to be. I'll leave his health story for another time. But for now, I just want to say thank you to all my friends and family who were there for him and me. I know I could not have gotten through this phase without them. And now, you can go check out the next part of my video. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.